You can tell a lot about a country by how it treats the people who are easiest to ignore. And this past weekend, that meant landscapers arrested while putting up Christmas decorations, and green card applicants facing new penalties, not for what they've done, but for where they're from. You know, merit-based. Let's start in Charlotte, North Carolina. Apparently, in just 5 hours, federal agents arrested 81 people. And how did they accomplish such a great achievement? By sweeping through homes and sidewalks, including some near a church. And the federal government says it was targeting people with significant criminal or immigration histories. But local officials say they were caught off guard. And community members are calling it a dragnet that was turned on their neighbors. So this didn't happen on the border. It happened in the heart of a city, with local leaders saying they weren't even consulted. And that raises real questions about federal power. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches. The 10th says states keep the powers the federal government doesn't take. And yet here we are, federal agents operating under broad authority, while cities scramble to respond. It brings to mind earlier moments in our history, like the Palmer raids, the Red Scare, and the mass deportations of the 1950s under Operation Wetback. Yes, I'm sorry to say, that was the actual name of the operation. And in those cases, each time, we later looked back and said we didn't want to repeat it. Meanwhile, a new draft immigration policy is moving forward that would let federal officers treat your nationality, aka being from a country on Trump's travel ban list, as a major strike against you when applying for a green card. Not primarily because of something you said or did, but because of where you're from. This isn't about border security anymore. It's about whether origin alone can count against you in the eyes of the law. And that gets to one of the most unsettled questions in American law. How far can the government go in denying rights to people who aren't citizens? The courts have said immigration is largely up to Congress and the president. But the founders also believed in natural rights, that governments exist to secure liberty, at least in principle, for all of those people who live under that nation or that government's power. And this new policy puts that idea fully to the test. So, what does this weekend's raid or raids and the new threats some non-citizens face for speaking out on campuses teach us? Well, they don't feel like isolated stories, for one. They look like part of a pattern. And that pattern shows federal power reaching deeper into civic life. And that shows speech and origin becoming reasons for suspicion, and due process being edged out by political discretion. But this isn't just about immigration. It's about the foundation of our civic life. Who gets to belong? Who gets to speak? And who the Constitution actually protects, not just on paper, but in practice. The founders didn't write a perfect system. We know this. But they did believe government should serve the people, not stalk them, and not sort them by birthplace. So the question is, what kind of country are we becoming if basic rights can be withheld or watered down by executive order? And how long does that kind of system hold before it starts to break for everyone?